The two of them immediately left the mountain. How to persuade the other winged ones to swear not to offend humans was Sha Lu's business. Su Jingxing waited on the altar and checked the two pieces of metal that the sword demon half-demon overlords had turned into, trying to sense the abnormality within. In the end, he found nothing. Clearly, Sha Lu's plan had failed. Use the sword demon iron to stimulate his 4 former clansmen to recover their sentience. It was completely wishful thinking. As for the exact reason, it could be that this method was fake to begin with, or that the sword demon half-demon overlord's realms were insufficient. If it was the real sword demon iron in Su Jingxing's palm space, the effect might be different. However, it was difficult to tell whether such an attempt was real or fake. Coupled with the fact that the sword demon iron was rare and the aura of the broken heavenly demon corpse in this sealed area was getting stronger and stronger, there was no need for Su Jingxing to take out the real sword demon iron. They were just 4 former winged ones, not humans. Su Jingxing wouldn't be overly concerned about foreign races. As he pondered, a feeling suddenly appeared in his mind. Then a second, a third, a fourth. Success. It was unknown how Sha Lu persuaded them, but all the winged ones in the camp swore a soul oath that they would no longer offend humans from today onwards. Su Jingxing sensed every oath that was made. Of course, ordinary people and most martial artists could not do this. Su Jingxing could because his soul power was powerful enough. Martial sages above the 5th or 6th class of the Void Soul Realm could sense it when they were close to the members of the Winged Ones. When all the Winged Ones had taken their oath, Su Jingxing fulfilled his promise and led them back to the Heavenly Demon ancient site. There were less than 100 people in this group. Most of them were adults, and there were only 3 children. It wasn't that they didn't want to give birth to more, but as the aura of the broken heavenly demon corpse intensified, they weren't in the mood to. Their minds were filled with bloodthirsty desire. Eat, eat, eat. Although they could still suppress this devouring desire with their rationality, how could they produce children under such circumstances? If not for the sake of continuing the race's lineage, they would have long given up. Giving birth to children in a sealed area was totally sinning. Under the corrosion of the aura of the broken heavenly demon corpse, the child would be born without wings. To put it bluntly, Sha Lu and company were all aberrations. They were already lucky to have lasted until Su Jingxing's arrival. As for the treasure medicine that they were searching for back then, they had indeed found it, but failed to bring it out in time. It was trapped in the sealed land with them. After so many years, the treasure medicine had no effect on the corrosion of the heavenly demon's aura. In the end, even precious herbs were no longer produced. The aura of the broken heavenly demon corpse was too terrifying. If it weren't for the fact that Su Jingxing was the first person to enter the sealed land in so many years and personally led the way, these winged ones wouldn't have dared to step into the heavenly demon ancient site. Naturally, no one had thought that the way out would be inside the area where the broken heavenly demon corpse was sealed. They couldn't wait to escape, so why would they go to the heavenly demon ancient site? Su Jingxing led the way. Sha Lu led all his people and followed behind. The group walked silently through the empty and quiet ruin. Only when they reached the bottom of the cliff where the door of darkness was, passed through it and stepped into the little demon world did all the winged ones cheer and jump with excitement. We're out, we're finally out. Huh, boo-hoo, we don't have to turn into demonic creatures anymore. Boo-hoo. No, something is wrong here. Why is there demonic energy everywhere? In the group, some were crying, some were laughing. However, someone quickly returned to his senses and exclaimed as he looked at the demonic energy floating in the air. This is not the human world. This is demon territory, the demon world. What's going on? Wasn't it agreed that we're going to the human world? Why is it the demon world? That human lied to us. He lied to us. The crowd was agitated. The winged ones who were crying and laughing all looked at Su Jingxing. Sha Lu only frowned slightly. Did I say that this is the human world? Su Jingxing met the furious gazes of all the winged ones and said calmly, this is the little demon world. It's still far from the human world. My lord, are you saying that we have to pass through the little demon world to enter the human world? Asked Sha Lu from the side. Pretty much that. Su Jingxing replied, the little demon world is connected to the human world. There are a total of 4 doors of darkness like this in the eastern continent. The sealed land you guys were in previously is called the Southern Wilderness. It's also located on the eastern continent, but it's in the wilderness. The exits of the 3 other doors of darkness are all in places where humans are active in the eastern continent. As long as you pass through any of the 3 doors of darkness, you can reach the underground of the demon's den in the human world. I see. Sha Lu nodded in realization. The other winged ones also shut up and looked away awkwardly. Turns out we haven't arrived yet. We cursed too early. No, we've cursed wrongly. Fortunately, Su Jingxing did not get angry. Su Jingxing wasn't that petty either. These members of the winged ones were about to go crazy in the sealed area. They were just cursing in their agitation. It wasn't like he would lose a piece of flesh. In comparison, Su Jingxing suddenly realized that the 4 doors of darkness that connected the little demon world to the human world were all in the eastern continent. The problem was that there were also demons' dens on the western continent. What's the situation with the demons' den over there? Could it be that the demons' dens on the western continent aren't connected to the little demon world? Or are there other little demon worlds? Of course, it was also possible that the demons' dens in the western continent was in actuality just one demon's den, a cave where the ancient demons had once lived. He would only know the details after a field trip. Su Jingxing had better take care of the little demon world first for now. On the way here, Sha Lu had said that he didn't know where the other 2 pieces of the broken heavenly demon corpse were. He had never heard his ancestors mention them. It was also unknown where exactly the piece in the heavenly demon ancient site was buried. Su Jingxing had walked in and out but did not extract any cards. Unable to figure out the situation, he could only temporarily close the door of darkness behind him. Yes, the door of darkness could be closed. In the bone demon's memories, there was a complete way to open and close it. Su Jingxing asked Sha Lu to lead the winged ones towards the demon's den that connected to the underground of Dongting Mountain first. He stayed behind and spent a lot of effort closing the door of darkness. There was still time to deal with the threat of the heavenly demon. He would discuss it with the other martial sages after he left this time. Of course, Su Jingxing would not stand on ceremony and would take the demonic energy from the little demon world first. Without wings, the speed of the wings race was greatly reduced. After entering the little demon world, Su Jingxing didn't have to worry about anything else. He directly released his spiritual essence aura and wrapped it around all the winged ones. He led them and Sha Lu to the door of darkness. The snake demon's body was still writhing at the door of darkness. The blood doppelganger had not destroyed the snake demon's head completely. Helpless, he could only get Sha Lu to grab the snake demon's body and throw it aside. Su Jingxing and the winged ones in front and Sha Lu behind, they came to the underground cave of Dongting Mountain through the door of darkness. Sha Lu was shocked to see the blood doppelganger destroying a huge snake head. He only relaxed when Su Jingxing said that he was one of their own. One had to follow through everything to the end. Su Jingxing wrapped the winged ones and left the demon's den. He walked out of Dongting Mountain and headed straight for Green Cloud Mountain. He temporarily placed the winged ones on Green Cloud Mountain to be looked after by Sha Lu. Unknowingly, Green Cloud Mountain had become Su Jingxing's base. Especially since Green Cloud Mountain was very mysterious, Su Jingxing didn't want to let it go. He brought the winged ones to Green Cloud Mountain to look for the Flying Lion Army, now the Flying Fish Organization. He introduced them to one another and got flying fish to provide all kinds of convenience, such as food, housing, and so on. After everything was settled, Su Jingxing returned to Dongting Mountain and the underground demon's Denver. He entered the little demon world and began to absorb the demonic energy to increase his cultivation. Of course, before that, he had completely destroyed the snake demon's head and extracted a card. Then, the blood doppelganger entered the door of darkness as a protector to prevent other demon slaves and half-demons from disturbing him. Su Jingxing circulated vast ocean and absorbed large amounts of demonic energy in the air. As the demonic energy was refined, the cultivation of the vast ocean's spiritual essence continued to increase. 310 years, 315 years, 320 years. Furious Dragon River. At the border between the Zheng Nation and the Wei Nation, downstream of the waters, in the demon's den beneath the 1,000-foot mountain by the river. Luo Ao and the Wei Nation's martial sage spent some effort and finally killed the demonic creatures that rushed out of the door of darkness. The two people in the transcendent grade were exhausted. At this moment, they were panting heavily, their faces covered in sweat. Brother Luo, how is it? The Wei Nation's martial sage said slowly, how is your contacting of Sword Sage Pei going? I've managed to contact him. Contacted? The Wei Nation's martial sage was stunned for a moment before he was overjoyed. He said excitedly, that's great. Where is Sword Sage Pei? When will he come over? Although we have killed all the current demonic creatures, there are still countless demonic creatures behind the door of darkness. Without Sword Sage Pei, we are no match for the powerful existences among them, especially the three ancient demons. I know. Luo Ao exhaled and said in a deep voice, Master is already rushing here. When Master arrives, he will immediately destroy the door of darkness. The Wei Nation's martial sage opened his mouth and asked curiously, Sword Sage Pei knows how to destroy the door of darkness. Have you guys seen it before? No, Luo Ao replied indifferently. Who said that it can't be destroyed just because we haven't seen it? With my master's strength, what is a mere door of darkness? Fine. The Wei Nation's martial sage was speechless. Sword Sage Pei is in the primordial spirit realm and the #1 expert in the world. It's only right that he can destroy the door of darkness. It will only be a problem if he cannot do so. Cough cough. At the same time. North Sea. On the coastline of the Su Nation, the demon's den under the island. Yu Xiangtian and the martial sage of the Su Nation had also killed all the monsters that rushed out of the door of darkness and earned a short break. How is it? How many people have you contacted? Asked Yu Xiangtian, panting. 5. The Su Nation's martial sage also calmed down and said, a total of 5 people, including the one overseas, are rushing over. The one overseas was also convinced. That's good, that's good. Yu Xiangtian was pleasantly surprised. With that person, we can at least stabilize the situation. Without someone in the primordial spirit realm, no one can resist the 3 ancient demons. If that person comes, even if we can't win, we won't be defeated. That's true. The Su Nation's martial sage nodded hard. Who would have thought that these ancient demons could live for so long? Now, they even want to come out from underground and harm humans. If not for the fact that the Yu Nation's martial sage discovered this early, we would have to wait for the matter to erupt and countless casualties before we learn of the ancient demons' conspiracy. The Yu Nation's martial sage was lucky. Yu Xiangtian sighed. I have to say that the heavens are on our side. Otherwise, who knows how many people will die when the ancient demons emerge. Yeah. Huh. They're here. Suddenly, the Su Nation's martial sage perked up and turned to look at the passageway that connected to the exit. Whoosh! 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 With the sound of rushing wind, 3 figures descended from above one after another and appeared underground. Swoosh! Swoosh! Moments later, 2 more figures appeared underground less than 3 minutes between their arrival. Brother Shi, Brother Hua, thank you for coming all the way here. The Sioux Nation's martial sage rushed over and thanked them. You're welcome. The demon's dens concerns the entire human race, so it's necessary to come and help. Shirkei waved his hand indifferently. That's right. The Yu Nation's martial sage has already reminded us. At this time, no one can stand by idly. Another transcendent grade martial artist followed behind and sighed. Since Senior Xiahou is here too, we naturally have to come, said a burly man in a muffled voice. With that, Yu Xiangtian and the others looked at the last person to come down. It was a slender middle-aged man with delicate features who was dressed in ancient short-range combat attire. As he walked, there was no flow of blood and qi around him, and his aura was as calm as an ordinary person. His gaze was gentle and his temperament was elegant. No matter how one looked at him, he did not look like a martial artist. However, even if everyone present were to join forces, they would not be able to do anything to him. Xiahou Chuanwu. The expert in the primordial spirit realm from overseas. While the physical body of the Sioux Nation's martial sage remained here, his essence soul had spent a lot of effort to contact Xiahou Chuanwu and persuade him to come to the demon's den to suppress the demonic creatures. Xiahou Chuanwu's appearance and temperament may seem refined and cultured, even more scholarly than a scholar. Once he got physical, he would be ferocious and crazy. He would be completely different from usual. Xiahou Chuanwu looked young, but he was already 200 years old this year. Before the rise of Sword Sage Pei, he was the #1 expert in the world. Xiahou Chuanwu was not lacking in talent, aptitude, perseverance, and opportunities. Compared to Sword Sage Pei who specialized in the sword, Xiahou Chuanwu's sword, painting, and calligraphy were all extremely stunning. They were known as the Three Peerless. Three Peerless Martial Sage was Xiahou Chuanwu's title. It had to be said that the Sioux Nation's martial sage was quite lucky that he managed to invite Xiahou Chuanwu. Of course, this was also due to the influence of the demons Denver. Once the ancient demons returned to the surface, it would be a catastrophe even more terrifying than earthquakes, floods, and volcanic eruptions. Xiahou Chuanwu rarely appeared. To put it bluntly, he was forced to come this time. Shirkei and the other martial sages were naturally included. In terms of age, realm, and strength, Xiahou Chuanwu was a senior. Yu Xiangtian and the others were all respectful because of this. Senior Xiahou, I don't know how many more demonic creatures there are. The best solution now is to destroy the door of darkness. Can you do that? Yu Xiangtian looked at Xiahou Chuanwu and asked. There's no hurry. Xiahou Chuanwu slowly floated in front of the door of darkness and circled it. He said calmly, this door of darkness cannot be destroyed. Cannot be destroyed. Yu Xiangtian, the Sioux Nation's martial sage, Shirkei, and the others were stunned. If it is destroyed, it will cause the space to collapse on a large scale. Xiahou Chuanwu said in a low voice, when that happens, once we don't control it well, it will extend for hundreds or thousands of miles. At that time, not to mention the Sioux Nation, even the Shui Nation and the Kong Nation will suffer, with countless casualties. This. Yu Xiangtian, Shirkei, and the others were all stunned. In that case, won't we have to leave the door of darkness open? Asked the Sioux Nation's martial sage indignantly. If it opens, it can naturally be closed. Xiahou Chuanwu regained his composure and said indifferently, as long as we study the forging method of the door of darkness, we can close it. That may be the case, but no one knows how long it will take to study the door of darkness. During this time, what if the demonic creatures come out again? Shirkei asked in a low voice. If the demonic creatures emerge, we'll kill them. Xiahou Chuanwu remained calm and collected. It's best if the three ancient demons come out from inside. It'll save me the trouble of going over and killing them. That's right. There's no need to wait here. We can charge in and destroy the ancient demons. Without the ancient demons, the other demonic creatures can be dealt with at any time. Yu Xiangtian and the rest fell silent. Enter the door of darkness. The danger would be instantly doubled and doubled. But what Xiahou Chuanwu said made sense. Why did so many demonic creatures come through the door of darkness? It was because the ancient demons were driving the act behind the scenes. With the ancient demons dead, the demonic creatures would dissipate naturally without much effort. At this thought, Yu Xiangtian said, "Alright, let's charge in and kill the ancient demons." "Count me in," agreed Shi Ke. "Count me in too. How can I miss such a big event?" The others echoed their agreement, including the martial sage of the Su nation. "There's no need for that." Yu Xiangtian looked at the Su nation's martial sage and advised, "The few of us will go in. You have to guard outside. Don't let the demonic creatures have a chance to emerge and go to the surface." "Yes, there has to be someone guarding the outside too." Shi Ke nodded. The martial sage of the Su nation thought for a moment and agreed. "I'll go in too." After listening to the few people, Xiahou Chuanwu's figure flashed and entered the door of darkness. "Heh, then I'll be the second." Shi Ke grinned and followed behind. However, just as he was about to enter, "Who?" A gust of wind suddenly swept out from the door of darkness. A figure was pushed out by a huge force with it. Bang! Ugh! The sound of collision and muffled groans sounded one after another. Shi Ke was sent flying dozens of meters back and crashed into the cave wall before stopping. His clothes were ruffled and wrinkled, and blood flowed from the corner of his mouth. His breathing was unstable. The figure that bumped into him was fine. It flew back more than 10 meters before stabilizing itself and standing in midair. "Senior Xiahou." Yu Xiangtian and the others got a clear look of the person who had retreated. It was actually Xiahou Chuanwu, the first person to enter the door of darkness. They couldn't help but widen their eyes in shock. Could it be that the three ancient demons were guarding the other side of the door of darkness, waiting for them to send themselves to their doom? "It's not the ancient demons." Xiahou Chuanwu's aura disappeared again. He said calmly, "It's the door of darkness. This door of darkness has a repulsive force. After I entered, I was quickly pushed out by a powerful yet gentle force." "Huh?" Yu Xiangtian and the others were stunned. Martial sages were also humans. They would still be shocked and they encounter something incomprehensible. "Ahem." Shi Ke coughed and walked back slowly. "This force is very strong. Without breaking the door of darkness, I'm afraid we won't be able to enter." D***. Yu Xiangtian gritted his teeth. "The demonic creatures can come out, but we can't enter. How did this door of darkness come about? Do ancient demons have the ability to set up such a strange passageway?" "I guess only the three ancient demons know," said Shi Ke slowly as he caught his breath. Since they couldn't enter the door of darkness, their beheading plan naturally couldn't proceed. No one ever considered that the door of darkness only targeted realms, not everyone. Only those who met the requirements could not enter. Those who had yet to reach the realm were not obstructed at all. In the eyes of Yu Xiangtian and the others, even with his primordial spirit realm, Xiahou Chuanwu could not enter, let alone transcendent grade void soul realm experts like them. Since he couldn't enter, everyone saved themselves the trouble of trying. In the little demon world, Su Jingxing didn't know about the situation with Yu Xiangtian, Luo Ao, and the rest. After closing the door of darkness that connected to the southern wilderness, Su Jingxing had forgotten about the two demons' dens in the furious Dragon River and the North Sea. In Su Jingxing's opinion, the martial sage of the Su nation, Luo Ao, and the others would guard the underground of the demon's den and intercept the demonic creatures. Without the ancient demons, some demon slaves and half-demons would not be able to reach the surface. Therefore, he subconsciously neglected them. At this moment, Su Jingxing, who was immersed in absorbing the demonic energy, would not think of anything else. The little demon world did not lack demonic energy. This demonic energy was released by the few plants that the bone demon, sword demon, and snake demon had brought through the demon world, under the stimulation of the world tree branch. Be it demonic creatures, half-demons, or even the bone demon, sword demon, and snake demon, they could not do without the nourishment of demonic energy. After thousands of years, the accumulated demonic energy, except for those that were consumed, had long filled every corner of the little demon world. To this day, those special plants were also distributed in various areas of the little demon world. Therefore, not only was it troublesome to cut off the demonic energy from the source, he also had to run everywhere. It would be much more convenient if Su Jingxing simply devoured it. Circulating vast ocean, large amounts of demonic energy gathered from all directions and circled around Su Jingxing's head. Then, it would convert into spiritual essence and push his cultivation level to increase. 380 years, 390 years, 400 years. Unknowingly, Su Jingxing's spiritual essence cultivation had risen to another level, reaching 400 years. The demonic energy that gathered from all directions did not show any signs of weakening. Instead, it grew. The demon slaves and half-demons nearby had long noticed the abnormality, but none of them dared to come close. The demonic energy surged and quickly disappeared. Clearly, something big had happened. However, all three ancient demons were dead, and so were the half-demon overlords. The remaining half-demons and demon slaves realized that something was wrong, but they did not dare to come and investigate. Su Jingxing opened his arms and absorbed large amounts of demonic energy, converting it into spiritual essence. As long as the demonic energy was not exhausted, Su Jingxing would not stop. Such an opportunity was too rare. Even with vast ocean, it was difficult to get a second chance to crazily devour energy like this and convert it into spiritual essence to increase his cultivation. In the outside world, worldly energy could be absorbed. Water vapor, fire energy, baneful aura, yin energy, and even sunlight could be absorbed. However, those amounts of energy gathered were too little, and the absorption speed was not fast at all, let alone allow him to absorb in large amounts without stopping. Su Jingxing had long known this. Back on the surface, if he wanted to increase his cultivation again, he would have to work hard over a long period of time. Slowly accumulating energy and converting it into spiritual essence to increase his cultivation. Unless he encountered another great opportunity. It could be said that something like this was too rare. Su Jingxing was unwilling to give up no matter what. Furious Dragon River. At the border of the Zheng Nation and Wei Nation, downstream of the waters, beneath the 1,000-foot mountain by the river. Whoosh! 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 Figures suddenly descended from the passageway, their auras varied. The first person was dressed in ordinary martial arts attire. He had an ordinary appearance, but his long flowing hair was thrown back and fluttered in the wind. Greetings, Master. Luo Ao was the first to take a few steps forward and bow. Greetings, Sword Sage. Suppressing his excitement, the Wei Nation's martial sage also greeted the person. The person did not respond. With a calm expression, he floated to the door of darkness and sized it up with his deep gaze. Seeing this, Luo Ao and the Wei Nation's martial sage did not dare to disrupt him or get angry. Instead, they shouted at the others. Wei Qingzhang, why are you here? Luo Ao raised his eyebrows when he saw the martial sage of the Guang Nation, Wei Qingzhang. Humph. Wei Qingzhang glanced at Luo Ao and said disdainfully, I'm not here to see you or help you. I'm here to help myself. Alright. We're all for humanity. Let's fight the ancient demons together. An old man advised from the side, before the ancient demons, please put everything else aside. Yes, the most important thing now is to deal with the ancient demons. A middle-aged man took a few steps forward and asked the figure in front of the door of darkness respectfully, Sword Sage, can you destroy this door of darkness? The man with long flowing hair was none other than Luo Ao's master. A peerless genius that appeared once in 1,000 years in the Jing nation, an expert in the sword, the #1 expert in the world. A martial artist in the primordial spirit realm, Pei Donglai. Whoosh! A green-white glow bloomed from Pei Donglai's body. Instead of responding to the question, he directly took action. The body that was shrouded in green and white light stepped forward and entered the door of darkness. Swish! 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 As if stimulated by some force, the vortexes on the door of darkness spun rapidly, producing an invisible and powerful force that stopped Pei Donglai from advancing. Buzz! The green-white glow on Pei Donglai's body became even more dazzling. The glow was like a sharp blade that tore through the air and shattered the vortex. It savagely pushed his body to pass through the door of darkness. Hoo hoo hoo! A gale-like noise erupted from the door of darkness. The shattered vortexes condensed again. An invisible and powerful force quickly grew, providing an endless supply to stop Pei Donglai. Faintly, the furious snarls of giant beasts seemed to come from inside. Whoosh! The door of darkness shook as well, shooting out streaks of black and red light that sealed the entire door like an invisible net. Pei Donglai's figure was once again stopped by a terrifying force and repulsed. Humph! Pei Donglai shouted coldly. The green-white light around him retracted and condensed into a huge sword, creating an invisible net. Chi! 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 The black and red light beams collided with the green and white light, engaging in an intense battle. The former was like a dragon or a tiger, baring its fangs and brandishing its claws, corroding and burning. The latter was extremely masculine, sweeping through everything and shattering everything. As soon as the two collided, they entered a white-hot state. The energy produced from the collision impacted the surrounding void, producing ripples. Wei Qingzhang, the Wei nation's martial sage, and the others were all surprised. Luo Ao's face was filled with fanaticism as his mouth opened wide. If not for the fact that he was afraid of disturbing Pei Donglai, he would have burst out laughing long ago. Forcing his way in. Given the perception that everyone possessed, how could they not see that the door of darkness was rejecting Pei Donglai? The door that connected the two worlds built by the ancient demons clearly had some kind of restriction that prevented them from entering. Pei Donglai, on the other hand, was trying to force his way in. In fact, the obstruction of the door of darkness had even triggered his strength to surge. Hoo! 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 Strong winds swept through the underground space of the demon's den. Swoosh! 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 Energy spiraled and filled both inside and outside the door of darkness. Under the watchful gazes of Wei Qingzhang, Luo Ao, and the others, Pei Donglai seemed to have transformed into a giant sword. He savagely tore through the invisible walls and stepped towards the door of darkness. Boom! 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 The door of darkness shook hard. The vortexes quickly condensed and shattered in the next instance. The black and red light dissipated yet continued to emerge. At this moment, Pei Donglai's body turned illusory and transparent, as if he would dissipate in the next second. However, the green-white light soared around him became even more dazzling under the pressure. As Pei Donglai walked into the depths of the door of darkness, the green-white light sword became more and more corporeal, as if it really existed. Chi! 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 Boom! Boom! Strange sounds and tremors continued. Finally. Bam! Accompanied by a loud bang of thunder, astral winds swept through the sky. The door of darkness was forcefully penetrated, revealing a clear passageway that connected the two worlds. On both sides of the corridor, an invisible repulsive force curled up aggrievedly. It's a success. Luo Ao covered his entire body with true essence to neutralize the astral winds that pounced towards him. He laughed out loud excitedly. In the next second, his figure flashed and flew into the little demon world along the passageway paved by the green and white light sword. As expected of a sword sage. That's right. This might is probably beyond the primordial spirit, right? Speaking of which, what realm is above the primordial spirit? I don't know. There don't seem to be any records of this. Wei Qingzhang and the others exclaimed in admiration. Amidst the discussions, they followed behind and walked into the passageway. This passageway was forcefully torn open by the green and white light sword. Before Pei Donglai removed it, everyone else could walk on it. When the group entered the little demon world, what greeted their eyes was overwhelming demonic energy floating restlessly. Hundreds of demonic creatures were scattered at the exit of the door of darkness, but they had all turned into bone pieces that covered the ground. The clash between Pei Donglai and the door of darkness had reduced the demonic creatures guarding the door to dregs. What's going on? The demonic energy here is surging. Where are the ancient demons? What a demon world. It's the demon world, right? According to the ancient books, the ancient demons came from a foreign world. This should be that world, right? No, the world where ancient demons exist shouldn't be so small. Besides, I have a nagging feeling that something is wrong with this world. Look at the sky. The last shout was especially loud. Everyone looked up at the sky and saw a huge tree that blotted out the sky. Its branches were overgrown and its leaves were withered. The huge tree crown covered the entire world, and above it was not the endless starry sky. Instead, a void. How did this happen? Everyone was shocked. Swoosh! At this moment, a sword beam suddenly soared into the sky. It was Pei Donglai. The sword sage, who was still wrapped in green and white sword light, transformed into a huge sword and shot into the sky. Swoosh! 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 Seeing this, Luo Ao, Wei Qingzhang, and the others also followed into the sky. However, Pei Donglai only flew halfway before he suddenly stopped and looked towards the center of the little demon world. Luo Ao, Wei Qingzhang, and the others who had arrived in the sky looked over in confusion. Their pupils constricted. Demonic energy. In the center of this world, an endless amount of demonic energy gathered together, forming a huge vortex with a diameter of more than 1,000 miles. Within this range, the space seemed to be boiling and surging. Inside the vortex, a glowing figure was faintly discernible. It kept absorbing the demonic energy. When the demonic energy entered its body, it disappeared. The terrifying devouring force guided the demonic energy to leak out from the bottom like a huge funnel. Boom! 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 A loud bang shook the air like thunder. Wave after wave of frightening auras emerged from the center of the vortex and rushed into the clouds, extending in all directions. An existence that absorbs demonic energy. Ancient demons. Only an ancient demon would have such powerful abilities. In the center of this world, an ancient demon is absorbing demonic energy to become stronger. At this thought, the expressions of Wei Qingzhang, Luo Ao, and the rest changed. Sword. The Wei nation's martial sage was about to ask Pei Donglai for help. Buzz. The world suddenly shook. Space churned and sword cries filled the air. Using his body as a sword, Pei Donglai slashed out a green-white sword energy that pierced towards the center of the world, a huge vortex of demonic energy. At first, the green-white sword energy was only a few hundred feet long, but soon, it expanded to be more than 1,000 feet. Then, a few thousand feet, tens of thousands of feet, tens of thousands of feet. Everywhere the green-white sword energy passed, space was torn apart. Demonic energy surged and pierced through the air. When it reached the demonic energy vortex that spread for 1,000 miles, the dense demonic cloud was forcefully split into two, and a passageway appeared in the middle. The great passage of sword energy that was filled with green and white light. At the end of the path was the glowing figure that was crazily absorbing the demonic energy. Danger. Extreme danger. Su Jingxing, who was absorbing the demonic energy in circulating vast ocean, was suddenly alarmed. He sensed a terrifying danger approaching from afar. It was extremely fast. If Su Jingxing wanted to dodge, he would have to stop circulating his martial art. However, the absorption of demonic energy was at a critical moment. If he forcefully stopped it, he would definitely suffer a backlash and internal injuries. There was no time for his main body to dodge. Faced with this approaching danger, the blood doppelganger would disintegrate in a few seconds at most. I won't die, but my main body would still be severely injured or even die. What should I do? Counterattack. If I cannot stop the circulation of vast ocean, I shall turn around and use my current spiritual essence to carry the demonic energy to break through the danger. A direct confrontation. These thoughts flashed through his mind as he made his final decision. Boom! Boom! First, there was a loud bang. Then, the massive amount of demonic energy that surrounded Su Jingxing suddenly spun in the opposite direction. Hoo hoo hoo! Strong winds howled and transformed into a hurricane that filled the air. Buzz! The air vibrated. Golden-red vast ocean spiritual essence gushed out, carrying a sea of demonic energy as it charged straight towards the approaching danger. Boom! There was an earth-shattering bang. Accompanied by a loud bang, an extremely dazzling ball of light bloomed in the sky. The electric beam transcended everything and spread to every corner of the little demon world. Wave after wave of shockwaves swept through the air and ground. Everywhere it passed, sand, stones, trees, and mountains turned into nothing. In the center, a vacuum area with a diameter of thousands of meters swayed and instantly appeared. The terrifying impact dispersed most of the demonic clouds and turned them back into demonic energy which surged in the sky without rest. When the demonic energy slowly dissipated like a tide, Su Jingxing opened his eyes and saw the terrifying danger that threatened him. A ray of sword energy wrapped in green and white light. This sword energy split open the demonic clouds and did not dissipate under the counterattack of the 530-year-old spiritual essence tide. It still maintained a blinding glow and a powerful killing aura. However, the golden-red spiritual essence tide did not retreat either. Green-white light and golden-red light collided with each other in the surging black demonic energy sea. They clashed non-stop, neither able to do anything to the other. Who released such terrifying sword energy? After buying some time, he slowly stopped circulating his martial art and exhaled to regain his composure. Su Jingxing got up and looked at the battle in the sky. The green-white sword energy and his golden-red spiritual essence wave were especially conspicuous in the sea of black demonic energy that filled the sky. With vast ocean, Su Jingxing absorbed the demonic energy and raised his spiritual essence cultivation to 530 years. Faced with a threat, he had no choice but to stop. In the end, the opponent he met relied on a streak of sword energy to resist his 530-year-old spiritual essence tide. Who is this person? Su Jingxing looked into the distance through the sword energy. This incomparably huge sword energy spanned tens of thousands of miles. He searched hard for the source but only saw a figure. Someone has entered the little demon world. Su Jingxing raised his eyebrows. The little demon world was connected to a total of 4 doors of darkness. Yunation's Dongting Mountain, the waters of the furious Dragon River at the border between the Jing Nation and the Wei Nation, the nameless island on the coastline of the Su Nation in the North Sea, and the southern wilderness Heavenly Demon Ancient Site. Of these 4 exits, the one at the Heavenly Demon Ancient Site had been closed. Su Jingxing's essence soul was constantly paying attention to Dongting Mountain in the Yu Nation. The remaining Furious Dragon River and the Nameless Island were guarded by the martial sages of the Jing Nation, Wei Nation, and Su Nation. Now that someone had entered the little demon world, he could only have come through one of these two entrances. The Furious Dragon River or the Nameless Island? No. Which entrance was not important. What was important was who had such powerful strength. Sword energy that spanned tens of thousands of miles. Could it be the Jing Nation's martial sage, Luo Ao? No, Luo Ao isn't that strong. It's a sword sage. Luo Ao's master, Pei Donglai. Su Jingxing's eyes lit up. Pei Donglai actually came in. He broke through the door of darkness. He's in the primordial spirit realm. How did he get through the door of darkness? Has the door of darkness lost its effect? Or is Pei Donglai's current realm no longer in the primordial spirit realm, but the soul platform realm? Su Jingxing's eyes flashed. In the next second, he retracted his gaze and wrapped his energy around the blood doppelganger. He left the cultivation ground and passed through the door of darkness that connected to Dongting Mountain. Sword Sage Pei Donglai, the #1 expert in the world. Regardless of whether he had stepped into the soul platform realm or not, it was already a fact that he had passed through the door of darkness. As fellow humans of Earth Star and as the martial sage of the Yu Nation, logically speaking, even if Su Jingxing was discovered by Pei Donglai to be absorbing demonic energy to cultivate, it was no big deal. The method to refine demonic energy was only lost, not extinct. That it had been discovered again was essentially a good thing. However, after the conversation with Yu Xiangtian, Shike, and the others the last time, Su Jingxing did not want to interact with Pei Donglai. This was because this famous sword sage was a battle fanatic. His title as the #1 expert in the world was not self-appointed, nor was it given to him by the people of Jing Nation. Instead, it was earned through challenges. As long as one was a slightly famous expert, Pei Donglai would issue a challenge. Pei Donglai's title went from swordsman to sword king to sword sage. Along the way, he had defeated countless people and killed countless human and non-human beings. Under pressure, Su Jingxing released his vast ocean spiritual essence with all his cultivation and wrapped around demonic energy to block Pei Donglai's sword strike. After blocking it, they even began an evenly matched fight in the sky. This force would definitely attract Pei Donglai's attention. No, it should have already attracted Pei Donglai's attention. As Su Jingxing traversed through the air, he sensed an incomparably sharp aura in the distance rushing towards his cultivation ground at lightning speed. Clearly, Pei Donglai had seen the confrontation in the sky and was eager to give chase. If Su Jingxing didn't leave, he would definitely be pestered and forced to accept his challenge. Su Jingxing didn't want to come into contact with such a battle fanatic. Although he might not necessarily die if he lost, injuries were unavoidable. If he won, there would be even more trouble in the future. Given Pei Donglai's personality, he would repeatedly come knocking on his door and challenge him. He wouldn't stop until he won. Therefore, Su Jingxing decisively retreated from the little demon world. 530 years of spiritual essence cultivation was about enough. The demonic energy could not escape. It would not be too late to come to the little demon world to absorb it next time. Right now, it was more important to avoid Pei Donglai. Crossing space. Crossing space. Before Pei Donglai locked onto him, Su Jingxing passed through the door of darkness and returned to the underground cave of Dongting Mountain. The physical body of a spiritual martial artist was rather special. Just in case, Su Jingxing continued to retreat. He flew towards the surface through the passageway of the demon's Denver. After leaving Dongting Mountain, he soared into the sky and entered the void world. In his essence soul state, Su Jingxing descended from the void world and headed straight for the demon's den. Under the protection of the Thunder Dragon bone armor, Su Jingxing wasn't afraid of being seen through. Less than 10 seconds after his essence soul arrived at the underground space of the demon's den. A terrifying sword energy shot out from the open door of darkness. Boom! An explosion that tore through the air suddenly erupted. The originally calm door of darkness instantly shook violently. The vortexes inside spun crazily, stirring the air and producing rings of energy. However, in less than 3 seconds, these vortexes disappeared, turning into nothing. In its place was a huge sword energy that seemed to have materialized as it pierced through the door of darkness. The power of the door of darkness was pushed aside by the sword energy and shrank to the sides in grievance. Under the gaze of Su Jingxing's essence soul, the giant sword energy began a savage battle with the door of darkness. One compressed inward, while the other forcefully opened. In the end, the giant sword energy won. The door of darkness that was filled with unknown power was torn apart by the sword energy, revealing a passageway. Whoosh! A figure flashed out of the passageway. Pei Dong Lai. What realm is this fellow in? The eyelids of the essence soul twitched under the thunder dragon mask. The door of darkness restrictions on the primordial spirit realm were useless on Pei Dong Lai. The strength of this sword sage was obvious. The problem was that the power that appeared when he passed through the door of darkness earlier was not that of the soul platform realm. In the soul platform realm, the most obvious symbol was a soul platform that alternated between illusion and reality. Su Jingxing had never seen the exact shape, so he wasn't sure. In any case, it wasn't sword energy. Therefore, it was impossible to determine whether Pei Dong Lai was in the soul platform realm. However, there was no doubt that he had the strength of the soul platform realm. It was not that one would only possess the power of a certain realm after reaching it. For example, before Su Jingxing reached the 3rd grade, he possessed 1st grade true essence cultivation. Pei Dong Lai was extremely talented. It was not unacceptable for him to possess the power of the soul platform realm at the primordial spirit realm. In fact, this might even be the truth. And you are. Many thoughts flashed through his mind. Su Jingxing's essence soul was slightly shocked when Pei Dong Lai came out of the passageway. It asked warily, "May I ask who you are? Did anyone come out from this door earlier?" Pei Dong Lai scanned his surroundings before his gaze fell on Su Jingxing's essence soul. "Do I count as someone?" Su Jingxing's essence soul said subconsciously, "I just came out 5 minutes ago." Pei Dong Lai did not respond. His star-like eyes were fixed on Su Jingxing's essence soul. Under Pei Dong Lai's gaze, the essence soul felt its heart palpitate for some reason. It felt as if it had been seen through. But soon, it calmed down. This fellow had used a secret art or soul skill on it. Su Jingxing's essence soul almost fell for it before it realized. Immediately, its voice turned cold as it shouted, "What do you mean?" This was not a provocation, but a counterattack as a martial sage. A necessary counterattack. As the kingdom-defending martial sage, his essence soul was being spied on and his secrets pried into. If he did not counterattack, how could he guard the dynasty? With his imposing manner and confidence weakened, what fighting spirit and morale would there be to speak of? In the face of provocation, any martial sage would counterattack. This had nothing to do with whether the opponent was powerful or not. Especially since this was the Yu Nation's territory. In the Yu Nation's territory, Su Jingxing's essence soul could unleash its strongest power in defense and attack with the kingdom-defending Jade Seal. Not to mention the protection of the Thunder Dragon bone armor. Of course, Su Jingxing's essence soul was also putting on an act. It had to act. Pei Dong Lai was testing it. Su Jingxing didn't want to provoke this battle fanatic. Just 10% of acting should be able to fool Pei Dong Lai. And that was indeed the case. Under Su Jingxing's cold questioning, Pei Dong Lai retracted his invisible spying and scanned the underground space again. Then, he turned around and walked back into the door of darkness. "You're not bad." With that, Pei Dong Lai passed through the door of darkness and returned to the little demon world. He then put away the giant sword energy that opened the door. Without the expulsion of the sword energy, the door of darkness immediately returned to its original state. It was covered in vortexes. The surging astral energy and force gradually dissipated, and the underground space returned to calm. He left. The battle fanatic did not notice anything wrong with Su Jingxing's essence soul. The 9th class of the Void Soul realm was no challenge to Pei Donglai. With the Thunder Dragon bone armor protecting him, it didn't matter if he couldn't see through its true appearance. In Pei Donglai's eyes, everyone, regardless of appearance, was the same. Strength was his only pursuit. Only the person who could resist him by absorbing demonic energy in the little demon world would interest Pei Donglai. Unfortunately, Su Jingxing did not let him have his way. Su Jingxing was not interested in accepting Pei Donglai's challenges. He would let him search everywhere for the mysterious expert who could contend against him. The 3 ancient demons, the snake demon and the bone demon, had been eliminated, leaving only the sword demon in his palm space. With Pei Donglai in the little demon world, Su Jingxing could temporarily put aside the threat of the demonic creatures. Of course. Before leaving Dongting Mountain, Su Jingxing called over the general of the prefecture army who had surrounded the foot of the mountain and asked him to send men to keep an eye on the entrance of the demon's den. Su Jingxing did not need to do such work of guarding the demon's den every day personally. The prefecture army could just send 1 or 2 commanders to take turns guarding it. As for the Celestial Pole sect, they had already moved away. Although Wu Chifen couldn't bear to leave Dongting Mountain, with the existence of the demon's den, it was no longer suitable for them to stay there. After all, the Celestial Pole sect walked the path of elites and did not have a big population. Unlike the prefecture army, where reinforcements could be replenished at any time. Most importantly, without the ancient demons, the little demon world was now the most suitable training ground. It was not convenient for Su Jingxing to announce the disappearance of the 3 ancient demons and the extermination of all the half-demon overlords. However, when Pei Donglai searched the entire little demon world and could not find them, Luo Ao and the others would help him do so. At that time, the 13 countries of the eastern continent would definitely argue over the training area of the little demon world. However, once this training ground was opened, it would be troublesome for Su Jingxing to continue absorbing demonic energy when he returned to the little demon world in the future. However, at this point, he could only take things one step at a time. In fact, the fastest way to increase his spiritual essence cultivation was still extracting cards. Internal Force card, True Energy card, True Essence card. A few days ago, he had extracted these 3 types of cards through his main body, Blood Doppelganger, and Essence Soul. Now that he was free, Su Jingxing unlocked them one by one. After absorbing and converting them, he finally increased his cultivation by 25 years. He raised his spiritual essence cultivation to 555 years. 555 years of spiritual essence cultivation to cleanse the physical body. The cards extracted from killing the half-demons and half-demon overlords unlocked to give the Mystic Soul card, of which 2 cards gave 1 Heaven Essence pill. After Su Jingxing's Essence Soul swallowed them all, his 9th class Void Soul realm cultivation also increased and reached a bottleneck. In other words, if he wanted to break through to the Soul Fixation realm, the effects of consuming the Sage Origin fruit and Heaven Essence pill alone would not be big. Of course, if there were as many as a few thousand Sage Origin fruits and Heaven Essence pills, he could still forcefully break through. But Sage Origin fruits and Heaven Origin pills were rare. For the former, up till today, Su Jingxing had only obtained 1 after forging the kingdom-defending Jade Seal and condensing it. The Heaven Essence pill could only be chanced upon by luck. Killing a half-demon did not mean that one could extract the corresponding Mystic Soul card. The drop rate was required. Therefore, he had to find other ways to break through to the Soul Fixation realm. For example, the Southern Wilderness ancient site that Sanshao had mentioned. Previously, Su Jingxing had declined to go because the time wasn't right. Now, it was. However, Before Su Jingxing could approach He San Shao, the essence soul was summoned again. Someone was looking for him through a heavenly secret art. Just like the last time when He San Shao came knocking on his door. This time, the cabinet was looking for him again. Suppressing his anger, Su Jingxing's essence soul put on the Thunder Dragon bone armor and crossed space to head straight to the capital. As the kingdom-defending martial sage, while he enjoyed the privilege of using the kingdom-defending jade seal to condense the sage origin fruit, protect himself and kill the evildoers, he also shouldered the responsibility of protecting the people. Even if he had become a martial sage by accident. As such, when the cabinet summoned him, Su Jingxing would have to make a trip there no matter what. Of course, if the matter wasn't important, Su Jingxing wouldn't be so polite when he was summoned again. The capital. Su Jingxing's essence soul crossed through space and arrived at the Heavenly Secrets platform following the directions. The Heavenly Secrets platform was managed by the Heavenly Secrets Office. The Heavenly Secrets Office was a special department directly under the jurisdiction of the cabinet. The summoning of Su Jingxing and communication using the Heavenly Secret Arts were all done through the Heavenly Secrets platform. At this moment, Su Jingxing's essence soul descended from the sky. The group of people guarding the courtyard immediately got up and gathered over. Greetings, Martial Sage. Greetings, Martial Sage. Their auras were not weak, and they had restrained themselves. They greeted Su Jingxing respectfully. Among them was Su Jingxing's acquaintance, Deputy Prime Minister Luo Shan. What happened this time? Under the Thunder Dragon mask, Su Jingxing's essence soul spoke calmly, but its tone was not pleasant. Luo Shan and the others listened with varying expressions. Some smiled wryly, while others were helpless. Martial Sage, there is indeed something important. A tall old man straightened up and replied, however, this is not the place to talk. Can we invite you to move with us? Lead the way. Su Jingxing glanced at him. It was the first time he was seeing this old man, but Su Jingxing recognized him after taking a few more glances. After all, he had seen him many times on television and the internet. It was the Prime Minister, Guan Zhonghua. This way, Martial Sage. Luo Shan led the way with a smile. Su Jingxing followed. The others were last. The group walked quickly and arrived at a relatively sealed room. They sat down, with Su Jingxing at the head. We called for you this time because we cannot make a decision over what happened. Guan Zhonghua was the first to speak. He explained, firstly, a strange phenomenon suddenly happened in the Qingtian Palace in the Imperial Palace. It was sealed off by an invisible force and people couldn't enter or leave. We tried to force our way in, collide with it, and attack it, but we were all interfered with by a powerful force and disappeared. Even a martial artist at the peak of the first grade who had condensed a divine embryo couldn't do so. That's right. Even when we dug holes from underground or descended from the sky, we couldn't enter the Qingtian Palace, a middle-aged man added. This is Deputy Prime Minister Luo Xiangong, Luo Shan introduced. Su Jingxing's essence soul remained silent. Seeing this, Luo Zhuigong smiled awkwardly and continued, other than the abnormality in the Qingtian Palace, there's also the local Yu family. This Yu family is a large family clan in the Fulong Prefecture. Although they can't compare to the Chen and Yu families, they are still a powerful martial arts family. They have existed for 300 years. This time, they were wiped out overnight. None of the hundreds of people in the village were spared. The culprits are very powerful, but there aren't many of them. According to my deduction, they are all martial artists in the top ranks, an old man with half-white hair added. This is the Hall Master of the Sacred Martial Hall, Fu Neng, Luo Shan introduced again. I'm Xiao Renwo. A man with elegant temperament but sharp eyebrows and bright eyes interrupted. The martial sage might be puzzled as to why we're talking about this. Other than the Yu family being wiped out, there's also our Martial Suppression Office's head supervisor, Ao Chuanxiu, being severely injured. Marshal Xiao is the supreme commander of our military, Luo Shan introduced from the side. I know. Su Jingxing's essence soul said calmly, the question is, among everything that has been shared, is there anything that threatened the safety of the Yu nation? The Yu family, a local family clan in the capital, had been wiped out. A phenomenon appeared in the palace and it sealed itself. The head supervisor of the Martial Suppression Office, Ao Chuanxiu, had been severely injured. He had to be summoned for these matters. Did they think that he, a martial sage, was a delivery man on call? Silence. Even though the essence soul's tone was calm, it still released a few wisps of the invisible martial sage pressure. In an instant, the space in the room froze. A powerful pressure weighed on everyone's shoulders and enveloped their hearts. No, no. Luo Shan swallowed his saliva and answered with difficulty, they didn't threaten the safety of the nation, but when these few matters are put together, it's very strange. Ao Chuanxiu is a peak first-grade expert who has condensed a divine embryo. Only martial artists in the transcendent grade can severely injure him. Are you sure? Su Jingxing's essence soul turned its head slightly and looked straight at Luo Shan. Luo Shan opened his mouth, wanting to say something, but didn't dare to. Yes, he couldn't be sure. Those who severely injured peak first-grade martial artists need not necessarily be in the transcendent grade. A martial artist at the peak of the first grade, or the use of divine weapons, Dao weapons, and other rare treasures could only do the same. Luo Shan was not a witness, so what guarantee could he give? Cough. Xiao Renwo coughed lightly and interrupted the silence. Although we're very sorry, we suspect that an unknown transcendent grade expert has invaded and that's why we're troubling you to make a trip here. This is because after Ao Chuanxiu was severely injured, he once woke up and revealed that the body of the person who injured him could turn illusory. The illusory body was the external manifestation of the essence soul. Of course, the physical body of a spiritual martial artist would do as well. The problem was that a spiritual martial artist was almost impossible. Su Jingxing was one himself and he had accidentally become one. It was impossible for a second spiritual martial artist to coincidentally jump out. Besides, the demonic creatures had not invaded the surface and harmed the various countries. The eastern continent was not in chaos, nor was the western continent. Even if some conspirators and ambitious people wanted to cause trouble, they wouldn't have the chance. Excluding spiritual martial artists, all that was left were essence souls and transcendent grade experts. Why was Ao Chuanxiu severely injured? The essence soul retracted its suppression and asked calmly. If it was really an invasion by an unknown transcendent grade expert, Su Jingxing indeed had to intervene. Guan Zhonghua paused and laughed dryly. He went to the Qingtian palace. He was found outside after being severely injured. The others remained silent. Su Jingxing's essence soul chuckled. In other words, none of you know why he was severely injured? Why yes. Luo Shan was embarrassed. The others also lowered their heads, feeling inexplicably guilty. Has there been an investigation? Asked Su Jingxing's essence soul. Also, what does Ao Chuanxiu's serious injury have to do with the Qingtian palace and the Yu family? The investigation is ongoing. Fu Ning coughed lightly and said, as for the relationship between Ao Chuanxiu and the Yu family, according to rumors, Ao Chuanxiu is the illegitimate son of the previous patriarch of the Yu family. What a load of information. The head supervisor of the Martial Suppression Office was actually from the Yu family. Even though this piece of information was a rumor and Ao Chuanxiu had never come into direct contact with the Yu family, there would be no smoke without fire. Since there were rumors, the credibility was very high. Not 100%, but at least 70% true. When Su Jingxing's essence soul heard this, it pondered for a moment and said, in other words, Ao Chuanxiu was entrusted by the Yu family to go to the Qingtian palace to look for something or do something. In the end, he was severely injured which caused the Yu family to be wiped out. That's our guess too. Luo Xiangong said softly, the phenomenon in the Qingtian Palace probably only happened after Ao Chuanxiu left. If Ao Chuanxiu is awake, or if there are still people from the Yu family alive, we can learn from them what happened in the Qingtian Palace. We are also doing our best to investigate what happened in the Qingtian Palace. Before this palace was no different from other palaces. After renovation, it was opened up for viewing. Now that people suddenly cannot enter or leave, after some investigation, we discovered that the phenomenon came from underground, beneath the Qingtian Palace, Luo Shan continued. After that, we began to trace back to the past of the palace. Guan Zhonghua continued, tens of years, hundreds of years ago, other than the necessary repairs, nothing strange has happened in the Qingtian Palace. The phenomenon this time should be related to the Yu family. For so many years, the Qingtian Palace has been calm as usual. I believe it had yet to be activated. Now that the phenomenon has appeared, it's likely that Ao Chuanxiu did something to activate the palace and prevent anyone from entering or leaving. Since we couldn't enter and exit the palace, we went to the Yu family to search for relevant information. After the annihilation, the Yu family's manor turned into ruins. In the ruins, we found 3 secret chambers. 2 of them could be forcefully opened. There were many treasures inside, but the relevant information wasn't available. Only the 3rd secret chamber was protected by an array formation. Forcefully opening it would destroy the secret chamber along with it. For this, we temporarily got men to guard it and didn't open it. Xiao Renwo said gently, of course, a group of array formation experts are actively studying this secret chamber, looking for a way to break the array formation. It's our mission to find the mastermind. We didn't dare to disturb you for this either. But the mastermind might be in the transcendent grade. We had no choice but to. Luo Shan still wanted to explain, but Su Jingxing's essence soul waved its hand and said, enough. Since I'm here, I won't let the suspected transcendent grade murderer wander around the country. The source of this matter is the Qingtian Palace, so let's go there. With that, he stood up and walked towards the door. Luo Xiangong, Luo Shan, and the others naturally agreed and followed behind. Wasn't the purpose of inviting a martial sage here to suppress the murderer? Transcendent grade was not 1st grade, let alone 2nd grade. No matter how powerful a peak 1st grade martial artist who had condensed a divine embryo was, there were many people in the same realm. At the very least, they could be assassinated with hidden weapons. But the transcendent grade was different. If a martial artist in the transcendent grade could be seen, he could be guarded against and assassinated. However, those hidden behind the scenes were bombs, terrifying bombs that no one could avoid. Once such a bomb detonated, no matter who it was, they would only face death. Ao Chuanxiu was already lucky that he was only severely injured. Only special treasures could contend against martial artists in the transcendent grade, all other martial artists of a lower rank had to obediently lie down. How could they continue fighting? They had to kneel down before they even saw the person. Therefore, they had to have a peer in the transcendent grade to hold the line. If not for the critical situation, Luo Shan and the others wouldn't have dared to contact Su Jingxing. After all, they also knew that Su Jingxing was resolving the problem in the demon's dens. Now, an unknown transcendent grade had appeared in the palace while Su Jingxing was held up. If he wasn't found, who knew if the other party would wipe out all the cabinet big shots like Luo Shan, Luo Zhuigong, and Guan Zhonghua? With the cabinet wiped out, wouldn't the Yu nation immediately fall into chaos? Even if a new team was quickly selected, a large number of people would definitely die in the chaos. This was what Su Jingxing didn't want to see. Therefore, Su Jingxing had to find out who the mastermind was no matter what. The group arrived at Qingtian Palace. As he approached the palace, Su Jingxing accidentally discovered that he had paid attention to this palace before. The previous time he came to the capital, he discovered that there was a palace in the open area of the palace whose worldly energy at the top was being guided by an invisible force and lingered around. He did not expect this palace to be the Qingtian Palace. However, compared to the unrestrained worldly energy he had seen last time, the worldly energy at the top of Qingtian Palace was now very dense. It was like a funnel that absorbed worldly energy from all directions into its stomach. No one noticed the abnormality last time. Su Jingxing only sensed it because his soul power was powerful. Now, any martial artist in the top ranks could detect the surging energy fluctuations in Qingtian Palace. A huge light screen enveloped the entire palace like a glass barrier. Su Jingxing's essence soul walked to the light barrier and reached out to touch it, as if it was touching a solid wall. Gathering soul power, it threw a punch. Dong! A dull and melodious sound immediately spread. Ripples appeared on the light barrier, then quickly disappeared and peace was restored. That's it. Luo Zhuigong explained from behind, no matter what attacks we use, we can't break through and enter the interior. This energy barrier is extremely solid. We've studied it and realized that we've never seen such energy, Luo Shan continued. We're not sure what's going on in Qingtian Palace either because we can't enter, Guan Zhonghua said. But for the past few days, nothing has appeared from the palace. The guard said that there has been no movement in it. Su Jingxing's essence soul was silent as it sensed the energy fluctuations of the light barrier. Indeed, this energy was very strange. It was unlike worldly energy, fire energy, water energy, or even energy like extreme yin and extreme yang. If one had to describe it, it seemed like a magnetic field, but not a magnetic field. The essence soul's soul power covered it and was directly worn away. It was not that its soul power had dissipated, but it had been disintegrated by an invisible force and quickly turned into a pile of powder that disappeared. Su Jingxing's essence soul carefully sensed around the light barrier. In the end, it really sensed the source or core of the light barrier underground. The underground core had been buried for hundreds, no, possibly thousands of years, or even longer. Qingtian Palace had merely taken advantage of the geography and got implicated. At this thought, Su Jingxing's essence soul turned around and said coolly, "Let's go the U residence." He could not enter the light barrier outside the Qingtian Palace either. Su Jingxing very well that with this perception, even if he turned illusory, he wouldn't be able to do so. Since he couldn't find any clues at the first location, he would go to the second location, the U residence. Luo Zhuigong, Luo Shan, and the others naturally had no objections and followed behind. No, more like they were leading the way. However, as soon as they left the palace doors, they saw a group of people rushing towards them. What happened? Luo Zhuigong was puzzled, while Luo Shan met the crowd. A moment later, Luo Shan returned to the group with an ugly expression. He waved his hand and dismissed the people. What happened? Guan Zhonghua asked in a low voice. Someone from the Snow Nation's delegation has gone missing. Two of them at that, a pair of sisters. Luo Shan gritted his teeth and said, "These two people have been missing for several days." The leader of the Snow Nation's delegation only revealed the matter when he couldn't find them anywhere and requested that we search for them. The people below are busy searching everywhere in secret. Missing? Was there anything unusual before they disappeared? Luo Zhuigong pondered. I don't know. After the two sisters came to the U Nation, they wandered around and couldn't be found for a long time. At first, the Snow Nation's delegation thought that they were running around again and missed the time to return to the hotel. Subsequently, they weren't seen for a long time and that was when the rest became nervous, Luo Shan replied with a sigh. Su Jingxing's essence soul did not say anything. There was no need for him to interfere in such matters. Luo Shan was responsible for the disappearance of the members of the Snow Nation's delegation. That was what Su Jingxing's essence soul thought and did. Silently, it strode away. Seeing this, Luo Zhuigong, Xiao Renwo, and the others couldn't care less about Luo Shan anymore. They stepped into the air and rushed towards the Yu family's manor. The sealed Yu family's manor. There were ruins everywhere. Most of the buildings had collapsed, and the ground was covered in rubble and pits. There was a lot of blood scattered in the corner. In some places, the blood had dried up and could not be wiped off in a short period of time. Of course, Luo Xiangong and company didn't do so either. Although the Yu family's manor was located in the suburbs of the capital, everyone had been killed, without a single survivor. Looking at the scene where destruction was everywhere, the battle here was undoubtedly very tragic. In the end, not a single person nearby heard anything and noticed something amiss. Only when dawn broke the next day did people discover the Yu family's tragic state. Corpses were everywhere. The corpses had long been cremated. The dead were all from the Yu family. There might have been corpses of the mastermind as well, but they had all been taken away. After our investigation, we discovered that everyone nearby slept very soundly that night, explained Luo Xiangong as he accompanied Su Jingxing's essence soul through the ruins. There was nothing left at the scene, asked the essence soul. No, Guan Zhonghua shook his head. The culprits cleaned up very well. Not a trace was left behind. We're here. Xiao Renwo, who was walking in front, suddenly stopped in his tracks. He pointed at the open door of an underground secret chamber and said, "This is the secret chamber. It's protected by an array formation." Su Jingxing's essence soul stepped forward and sized up the extremely calm door of the superalloy chamber. Around the cave stood martial artists with powerful auras. Every one of them was in the 4th grade, and 3 of them were even in the 3rd grade. Dressed in a uniform, they were muscular. People from the Sacred Martial Hall. Apart from the military and the Martial Suppression Office, the Yu Nation's government also had a powerful team, the Sacred Martial Hall. This department was the core of the Yu Nation. All the cabinet members, various prefecture chiefs, and generals had been part of the Sacred Martial Hall before. In other words, all the candidates holding important positions in the Yu Nation were from the Sacred Martial Hall. Even though they possessed powerful martial strength, they usually did not take action. Only when they encountered important matters would the Sacred Martial Hall take action. The Hall Master of the Sacred Martial Hall naturally became a member of the cabinet. Nothing needed to be said about their strength, every Hall Master was a peak 1st-grade martial artist who had condensed a divine embryo. The step of hatching an essence soul from the divine embryo had trapped countless people. According to the Wei family's ancestors, the blue liquid with a red glow that Su Jingxing brought out from the black flame caves could allow a divine embryo to hatch an essence soul. Su Jingxing had checked afterward. The blue liquid with a red glow did indeed have this effect, but it wasn't to be devoured. Instead, it ought to be melted and smeared on the divine embryo to speed up the incubation process. Yes, the blue liquid with a red glow did not allow the divine embryo to hatch an essence soul. Instead, it sped up the process. Moreover, the more the better. 1 or 2 drops of the blue liquid with a red glow were equally inefficient. However, the giant flower with eyes in the black flame caves was quite a threat to Su Jingxing. There was no need to guess. If this giant flower could injure an essence soul, any martial artist below the transcendent grade would be courting death. Of course, the giant flower was very innocent. If one could deceive it, he might be able to obtain a considerable amount of the blue liquid with a red glow. However, if one made a mistake and angered the giant flower, he would become nourishment for it. Cough cough. Su Jingxing's essence soul came back to its senses. It slowly descended and arrived at the door of the secret chamber. It reached out and touched the door. Buzz. The air surged, and a halo suddenly appeared. Then, it quickly spread and covered the entire secret chamber, forming a light blue membrane around it. Su Jingxing's essence soul touched the light membrane. Amidst the light, combination array patterns immediately appeared and gathered together, forming a powerful force that could not be broken. These array formation patterns have been recorded. Array formation experts are studying them, Luo Xian introduced. Su Jingxing's essence soul did not respond. However, The hands covered in the gloves of the Thunder Dragon bone armor gloves hitting the light membrane, creating circles of ripples. Array patterns constantly appeared. Moments later, he gestured for Guan Zhonghua and the others to retreat. This. Guan Zhonghua hesitated, but there was nothing he could do. They could only leave the basement one by one and retreat 100 meters away. After they were far away, Su Jingxing's essence soul employed its soul power. The surface of its hands flickered with light as it rhythmically slapped the array patterns on the light membrane. Buzz. 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 A strange sound began to sound. It was rhythmic, resembled music, and was rather pleasant to the ear. Guan Zhonghua and the others, who were watching from afar, could not help but look at each other, not understanding what Su Jingxing was doing. Breaking the array formation. Guan Zhonghua and the others were shocked at the thought. Of course, it quickly turned into joy. If Su Jingxing could break the array formation, it would save them a lot of trouble. Those array formation experts had been studying the patterns on the array formation for a few days, but they still couldn't figure anything out. It would be great if Su Jingxing could. In fact, Su Jingxing's essence soul was indeed breaking the array formation. The record of array-breaking diagrams. That's right, Su Jingxing realized that the array formation that enveloped the secret chamber was actually launched from a basic array formation. That made things easier. The various strange array formations and trapping array formations set up using the basic array formations. Even Su Jingxing could crack it using the record of array-breaking diagrams. Its speed was not slow either. Under the slaps of soul power, the rhythm became faster and faster. After a series of dull thuds. Whoosh! A ray of light suddenly soared into the sky and disappeared into the horizon. In the next second, the array formation that enveloped the secret chamber disintegrated with a whoosh. Ha, it's really broken. Luo Xiandong exclaimed in surprise. A martial sage is indeed fast. Guan Zhonghua nodded with joy. Let's go take a look. Xiao Renwo's figure flashed and he flew back. At this moment, Su Jingxing's essence soul had already opened the door of the secret chamber. A deafening snarl came through the door. Roar! Accompanied by a roar, a huge black shadow rushed out of the secret chamber at lightning speed. A foul wind, astral winds, and a strong murderous aura pounced towards Su Jingxing's essence soul. Buzz! The air surged. The essence soul released its pressure to suppress the black shadow. However, the black shadow only paused for a moment before pouncing over again. It was so fast that it didn't even leave behind an afterimage. It arrived in front of Su Jingxing's essence soul and collided with the Thunder Dragon bone armor. Whoosh! Su Jingxing's essence soul retreated more than 10 meters. The transcendent grade suppression was removed in midair. Xiao Renwo, Guan Zhonghua, and the others who flew over were also sent flying by the violent charge of the black shadow. Roar! The roars continued, echoing in the air above the ruins. The huge black shadow targeted Su Jingxing's essence soul and pounced over again. Swoosh! The essence soul landed easily, its eyes shining. Sword Eyes was activated. Through the Thunder Dragon mask, the solidified sword-shaped light beams accurately struck the black shadow, forcing it to stop charging and retreat. That's right. Under Sword Eyes, this huge figure that rushed out of the secret chamber actually did not shatter and disintegrate. Instead, it forcefully received it. Sword Eyes was a soul skill that used soul power. How could a physical body withstand it? Su Jingxing's essence soul was shocked. Its perception covered the open secret chamber. It confirmed that there was no one else inside, only this beast-like giant in front of him. He was nearly 4 meters tall with disheveled hair. There was no emotion in his scarlet eyes. His huge body clearly did not contain any vitality, but it could move. Baleful energy, death energy, killing intent, and a strange aura mixed together to form an exceptionally strong aura. Su Jingxing's essence soul was not affected much by this aura. Xiao Renwo, Guan Zhonghua, and the others, who had retreated to the side, found it difficult to endure. It was as if they had accidentally entered a swamp filled with quagmire. They were inexplicably flustered and terrified, wishing they could escape immediately. "Who is this?" Fu Ning spoke in a low voice, his gaze fixed on the beast-like giant. "There aren't any fluctuations in his emotions." "He's probably a puppet," Xiao Renwo muttered. "Puppet? What puppet is so strong?" Guan Zhonghua frowned. "Don't you realize that his physical body is so strong that even his divine embryo is inferior? It is indeed a little abnormal. Isn't such a physical body only possessed by martial sages and those in the transcendent grade?" Luo Zhuigong echoed. "Fortunately, the martial sage is here." Fu Ning exhaled. "If we had opened the secret chamber and released this unknown fellow, we would probably all have died." "That's right," Guan Zhonghua sighed. "If they were to face this giant puppet that was crazily attacking the martial sage, almost every one of them would die. Fortunately, the martial sage arrived in time." Fu Ning, Guan Zhonghua, and the others were still feeling lingering fear. Su Jingxing's essence soul was also filled with curiosity. The size of the fellow in front of him was secondary. The key was that his physical body was unimaginably strong. The sword eye's beams struck repeatedly, but could not penetrate it, only leaving cracks on it. Such a body was definitely comparable to a transcendent-grade physical body. Its sturdiness was no less than that of a martial artist's in the 3rd or 5th class of Void Soul. The essence soul did not clash head-on with it because Su Jingxing realized that the other party did not have any consciousness, only instincts. It was like a machine that was being controlled. A puppet? A puppet whose body was comparable to the physical body of a martial sage. Realizing this, Su Jingxing's essence soul naturally wouldn't fight it head-on. Instead, it played around with him. It led the other party left and right, guiding his attention, but it refused to let him touch itself. Previously, it was sent flying because it was caught off guard. Now that Su Jingxing's essence soul had locked onto its target and was paying attention to its every move, how could it be hit again? Su Jingxing's essence soul wanted to see how strong this fellow's physical strength was and if there was a limit to it. In the end, after scanning repeatedly, it discovered that the energies in the other party's entire body were fused. The dancing baneful aura, killing intent, death energy, and so on were all wrapped around his body and not leaking out. In the essence soul's perception, the entire physical body was like a piece of hard metal. Transcendent body? Divine embryo? Secret ability? Or all three? Su Jingxing's essence soul thought for a moment and decided not to hold back anymore. This was because it realized that the power unleashed by this giant puppet seemed to have no limits. He couldn't be kept alive any longer. Fortunately, Su Jingxing was the one to encounter it. Anyone else would have been torn to pieces. Even a martial sage who had just broken through to the transcendent grade would die if he was careless. This fellow was specially left behind by the mastermind to deal with me. Su Jingxing's essence soul sneered. Circulating its soul power, it executed the Tiangang demon suppression hand. Boom! A dazzling white light immediately bloomed, turning into sheets that surrounded the giant puppet from all directions. Roar! The giant puppet that was attacking rapidly roared angrily. His entire huge body had no choice but to lie on the ground, unable to move. The giant palm imprint evolved from the Tiangang demon suppression hand materialized and grabbed the giant puppet's limbs and even his head, pressing it to the ground. Whoosh! In the sky, a ray of light suddenly bloomed and descended from the sky. Swoosh! The sky split into two, and a clear passageway opened up from the sky, extending to the Yu family's manor. Finally, it stopped in front of Su Jingxing's essence soul and revealed its true appearance. The Wandering Dragon Saber. Now that it had captured the giant puppet, the essence soul did not want to waste his soul power and naturally summoned the wandering dragon saber. Swish! Saber light bloomed, and the might of a divine weapon was immediately augmented on the puppet's neck. Clang! A crisp sound reverberated through the ruins. The wandering dragon saber's first slash actually did not behead the puppet. How tough! Su Jingxing's essence soul sent a thought to the wandering dragon saber and allowed it to continue slashing. Swoosh! 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 Clang! 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 For a time, blade beams connected almost without stopping. The crisp sounds also filled the air endlessly, turning into a tune. It only stopped when the blade energy sliced into the ground. Card +1. A notification flashed past. Su Jingxing's essence soul put away the wandering dragon saber and willed it to soar into the sky and return to the void world. Luo Xiangong, Xiao Renwo, Fu Neng, and the others who were watching the battle from afar looked at the sky for a while and exchanged glances before approaching Su Jingxing's essence soul. Their gazes swept across the ground a few times before finally landing on the head whose face was facing the sky. Xiao Renwo suddenly let out a cry of surprise. What's wrong? Guan Zhonghua was puzzled. Xiao Renwo did not respond immediately. Instead, he squatted down and pushed aside the messy hair covering the face. He looked at the square face that was revealed and said in surprise, I know him. What? Guan Zhonghua, Fu Neng, Luo Zhuegong, and the others were stunned. Su Jingxing's essence soul also looked at Xiao Renwo curiously. Are you sure? Yes, definitely. Xiao Renwo nodded and said seriously, his name is Su Zhongze. He's a general of the Kong nation, but he has been dead for more than 60 years. Wait, old Xiao, are you confused? Guan Zhonghua stretched out his hand and interrupted, a person who has been dead for more than 60 years can still be resurrected? And kept alive until now? Are you sure you're not seeing things? I said I'm sure. As for why he's alive, I'm also curious about that. Xiao Renwo raised his eyebrows and said strangely, Su Zhongze was a transcendent body martial artist when he was alive. He was also very tall, nearly 3 meters. When he died back then, he had already condensed a divine embryo. If his corpse wasn't destroyed and was refined into a puppet, it would be reasonable for him to become like this. Su Jingxing's essence soul was silent. After hearing Xiao Renwo's words, a thought struck him. His main body in the void world took out the card and held it in his hand to read the information. The next moment, he could not conceal the joy on his face.